And hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of One Take because life has no rehearsals. Today, I'm absolutely happy to bring Shlomi Ron. So, here's the deal, and it's one of those things. I saw Shlomi's title in LinkedIn, Chief Storytelling Officer, and I said, and he lives in Miami. So I said, damn, I gotta meet this guy. This sounds really interesting. And you know what? The real life was even more surprising than the LinkedIn profile or my interest. Romy is an entrepreneur. He advises CMOs. He has a couple of startups. He teaches storytelling at and he manages an international content archive. So our coffee in Gracianos was tremendous. It was absolutely great. And we've met a couple of times afterward. So very interesting person. You're in for a thrill. So, Romy, how did it start? What was that trigger moment?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a vacation I took at Taormina in Sicily. I was always fascinated by visual stories, and I attended this film festival there. And from then on, I kind of start taking Italian language classes, and that mushroomed into appreciation for classic Italian cinema. I wrote film reviews. I hosted film festivals just as a fan, not as a professional critic. That was one angle. The other inspiration was my father-in-law, Buki Schwartz, was one of the early pioneers of video art. So since he passed away in '09, I took over to manage his estate and spread his legacy. And that also gave me this opportunity to tell a story of someone I knew for a very long time, but in a way that, through my filters, basically bring his story. So for me, those two influences, classic Italian cinema and video art, were the major inspiration for what made me start the Visual Storytelling Institute.
That is outstanding. I mean, like seriously, what a confluence of events, right? You go to a movie festival, and then you're managing this archive. But in hearing it, everything revolves around two things: video and content. And I remember in 19, oh my God, I'm gonna date myself. So in 1973 or
Mhm.
1974, I joined the Facultad de Ciencias de la Información, the advertising career in Madrid,
Yep.
in the Complutense. And I had a minor in cinematography, and we actually won a third place, a little group of us. And in those days, of course, it was real celluloid. Then I filmed a couple of award-winning commercials,
Yeah.
celluloid, and then somebody invented video, and it was great. And then somebody invented something even better. So it's been an industry that has changed and very, very, very quickly these days. Not only in terms of the platforms, but in terms of everything else. The software that is available. Even this studio is amazing. I mean, like here we are in a real studio. Who
Yep.
knows? Right? So
Exactly.
so we've been through many changes, but one of the questions that I like to ask people. So tell me one change, one thing that in looking back you would say, I would have never imagined that. What was it?
Technology change, you mean? That I think the revolution of AI right now is really a game changer in so many industries. And just the fact that today you can just create a whole product video demo just by describing the product and giving the context, and the software is doing the whole thing for you, and it's incredible. And think about the implications for videographers, illustrators, copywriters. So many creative disciplines are really need to rethink how they can really market their skills in a world where everything is could be automated. And so there's a fine balance that I'm writing about it for the past 6 years in my visual storytelling newsletter, about the latest trends in technology that affect visual storytelling, and AI is really one of the most important one, because you really need to, on one hand, stay up to date, but on the flip side, how can you retain your humanity, your creativity, your problem skills, problem solving skills in this world. So I think we're going through a really fine balance, using the technology and then trying to keep our creativity intact.
Well, and you mentioned something that, like I absolutely love. I love AI. I am absolutely floored by AI.
Yep.
Um, I look at some of the image processing programs that I have, like, I don't
Yep.
know, ACDC or something like that, elements. And there's already an AI component that, allows you to do things like change a background, whatever. Then there's the usual, the stupid things you do. Like, I have an Alfa Romeo, right? So of course I went into Dali and I said, "Oh yeah, take the BMW 430 convertible and transform it into an Alfa Romeo and make it apple green."
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I mean, you look at the thing and it's almost like a picture. And I also use AI. I use a program called Synthesia for my marketing and for your Gray Matters to do
Right.
videos, with a talking head.
Sure.
But if I can do that, that must be like the simplest, most basic stuff in the world. You're definitely much more advanced. Where do you see that industry going?
Yeah, I think there was a very interesting article in the New York Times recently about an AI startup in LA that actually worked on the latest film here with the some of the latest advancement in AI, where they basically featured Tom Hanks and his partner at different age stages in their lives, and part of it was the work of AI, basically playing the role of kind of processing their image. So the ability to use AI in filmmaking is going to have tremendous impact, because not only you can change the look and feel of how different actors look like, but also at some point, I think, and already seen some examples, that actors forget about actually acting. They're just going to license their, look for a film, and then they can basically, it becomes a licensing deal. So obviously you need to be very, famous, like, like Tom Hanks of the world to do that. But he in that particular article, he's talking about, I don't mind that my image is going to stay longer after I pass away. And this is a whole new world, where you have different famous actors that their careers never stopped.
So that brings you, or brings us to, it's a very interesting point. So one of them, I remember when I was young reading about, famous actresses insuring their legs or their breasts, whatever.
Photoshop, it used to be in the magazine industry more.
No, but I mean, they did, right? So
Yeah.
now we talking now about copywriting yourself?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And especially you mentioned earlier Synthesia, which is another great video platform that you can actually use either your image or just avatars to do that. So, you can definitely, if you are a narrator, professional narrator, you can definitely, license your voice, your look. Depends on the medium and the goal that you're trying to achieve. But because it's so easy, but the flip side, because the technology so has such a low barrier to entry, you have people that can actually abuse it and basically
Oh, yeah.
use your image without your permission. So you have that side as well that you need to take into account.
So that's interesting because then we go from a purely creative, point of view. I
Yeah.
can do this. For example, with Synthesia, I could essentially build an avatar of me.
Oh,
In,
okay.
in,
With your
in,
voice, right?
no, 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 with my likeness,
Oh, just your likeness. I see.
the entire thing, and then I can change my voice so I can have a really cool British accent and then be taken seriously by Americans.
I would keep your accent, because that's your unique signature. And I know that this capability that basically next time after you entered it into the system, you can just type whatever you want, and it's going to speak like, Marcelo, the real deal. But it's you don't have to kind of pain yourself recording every time. It's already in the system.
Yeah. So, you can go from there, but like then it has a lot of other legal implications. For example, in the
Yep.
same New York Times article that you read, I read about Britney Spears being used to advertise some cookware.
Yep.
Le Croisset or Le Cruisset or what, however you pronounce it. I have no clue how
Yep.
to pronounce it.
Le Creuset, I think,
Le
in
Creuset.
French. In French. Yeah.
Yes. Well, so I read that and it floored me that somebody could actually do this. I mean, if I were Britney Spears, I would sue the hell out of them. I really would.
Yep.
So that's an interesting legal implication.
It's a
So
double-edged sword. You really need to see the benefit versus the threats.
so how about, for example, and this is another question that I like to ask, about the coping of it, right? So how have you used AI? So, for example, to go through your father-in-law's archives and maybe organize it or do anything with it?
Now, what I've done, no, I actually haven't done that, but I just work with outside archive provider just to organize everything. But there's no AI involved. It was really the manual way of just uploading stuff and kind of categorizing. But it's a good idea. It's something that I definitely need. The challenge with us is that he's accumulated so many items, and we have archive in Israel. We have an archive here in in Miami, and his outdoor sculptures and video installations are everywhere. So it's a huge effort to do that. And in fact, we actually hired a professional archivist at some point to help us. And I think 5 years ago, we also had a collaboration with the NYU where they sent us a grad student to help us categorize our archive here. So, but these are all kind of all technology way of archiving. There's no AI involved.
Yeah. Well, I have a client and a friend, and he was also in the podcast, Tony Hollingsworth. He has produced nine of the largest, global events in the world and many other things, right? So his archive was also massive,
Yeah.
massive. And yeah, it was not digitized, so you couldn't even use AI or whatever. But I can see, like, you can see almost like an intuitive kind of AI if you could digitize the entire thing and say, hey, go through all of this, find common themes, find overriding stuff, and then like tag it, so you
Yeah,
can
I think this is a
hashtag
great
this,
idea. It's a
that.
great idea to see what it's going to come up with. Like, even with OpenAI, ChatGPT, you can basically, because there's tons of materials out there in the general internet that I can ask him, just check whatever information or items you have on a Bookie Schwartz, the video artist, and categorize it by what you find. That'll be an interesting experiment to see what he's going to come up with. But I can tell you that 3 years ago, we actually gifted our archival materials to the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. So that's where the official archive of his work is located. But for our purposes of managing, the collection, I definitely see the value of experimenting with AI to see what it's going to come up with.
Yeah. Well, that's the other aspect about AI. It's like once you have the subscription or the software, it's essentially free to experiment.
Yeah, yeah, I totally use it, at least 10 times a day for different things. The latest fun use case was really coming across a technical problem using a tool that I couldn't find an answer. You'll be surprised. For technical support, it works well.
Ah, yes, I've used it for things like, hey, I need a macro that does this in Excel. Typically, I need a macro
Yeah,
that copies this and then like copies it onto itself, then moves it, up X amount of lines and then deletes all of the other lines
yeah,
so that I can clean a list, for example. And I've used it. I've used ChatGPT for
yeah,
that. I use ChatGPT to analyze 195 retail bankruptcies to find, common themes to the bankruptcy.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
trick
an
is really,
amazing.
it's like, since we're talking about storytelling, the trick here is to really define the universe for ChatGPT or any other AI tool. You are playing a CFO, this is the problem, kind of paint the setup, the location, the hero, what everybody's doing, and what is the goal, what are you trying to accomplish. And the thing is also to remember, most people forget about it, is that even if you get an answer, you want to kind of keep asking follow-up questions to get to where you want to get. Because if you ask it right from the start, you're going to get very jumbled response. So really kind of you need to pace, the questions and kind of make them, each one follow the other.
Are you introducing any sort of AI anything on your classes in UM?
I actually have some topics associated with that where I show some examples from the industry, ads that use AI. The first one was probably from Toys R Us, if you remember.
No.
And it was just released a couple of months ago. The entire ad was created by using Sora of OpenAI. It's a video
Yes.
powered tool that is not available to the public. And I kind of use it as a discussion point and see what they think, if they even, in my latest class, students even didn't realize it was made by AI, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've been dying to get my hands on Zora.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
dying for it. I had
yeah,
a paid subscription to ChatGPT like the very first week that it came out. Like,
yeah,
forget it.
yeah,
Whatever, $20 a month, whatever it costs, I don't care.
yeah.
You need to be current. And, just talking about being current and just to kind of wrap it up, my question to everybody, which at some point, I'm going to take all of the answers from all of the scripts, I'm going to dump it into ChatGPT and I'm going to say, summarize it for me. But meanwhile, I am interested in, of course, the people saying that. So you evidently are way, way, way in the cutting edge of AI. I am, I would say, at a 60% point, more or less. I deal with it, but I'm not, tremendously good. Definitely not as advanced as you are. But if you were talking to a CEO, CMO, and that person were considering several candidates, some of them younger, some of them middle age, so some of them, as Irving says, POA, people of age,
Yeah.
then yeah, which I'm gonna at some point trademark. uh, what would you tell that CEO, CMO about the particular strengths of people who are, especially in the creative industry, people who are 55 plus?
Well, I would just say it's funny, and this idea came up as you were describing the question, and a moment ago we were talking about AI. So think about the similarity of AI to people 55 and older. What does it really mean? It means that we have much large learning model than a younger guy. So we have much better responses and much more, pool of data to use from. And I think that's a huge advantage. So I will use the LLM metaphor to sell the benefits of older candidate.
That is absolutely brilliant. I'm gonna join it with another couple of ideas that other people had, specifically Beate Chelet, who is an architect of joy.
Yeah.
She's very joyful. She sold her company. She was in one of my podcasts. She sold her company to Bill Gates in person.
Oh wow.
So you can imagine, she
Yeah.
has no pains.
Yeah.
And one of the things she said is, all people, we have a bucket of shit, right? And then if somebody comes up with an idea, and then we look at it and we go, eh, it's in the bucket of shit. That thing won't work. But I love the idea of all people as LMMs, because it is true, and that's the way you train AI. So we have it internally, and
Just
I
think
think
about
it
the
is
$1 billion that
brilliant.
OpenAI is spending on this huge, data farms just to kind of keep covering more data of the vast internet. And it just tells you, you need to have season data with lots of information. Some of it most likely is going to be biased. That's true,
Yeah.
but that's part of our humanity.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. I love it. I had never thought about it, and now you have opened my eyes to it. So
It
I
just
think
happened
it's
to me
great.
as you asked the question. I said, "Whoa." If we
Yeah, it's
hadn't
great.
talked about AI a moment ago, it wouldn't pop up.
Well, I like the answer so much. Next time I'm buying the cafecito at Graciano's.
Awesome. Yeah, deal.
Great. Well, Shlomi, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's, as always, eye-opening, interesting, thought-provoking. Just meeting with you opens up like entire possibilities. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to the next cafecito in Gracianos.
Yeah, and everybody, if you want to kind of follow up more about what I do, check visualstorytell.com for the Visual Storytelling Institute. And also, I also host like Marcelo, I have my own podcast, The Visual Storytelling Today. So check that. Visual Storytelling Newsletter is my 6-year newsletter. So you can find me on all these channels.
I'll link them on the description. Send them to me, and I'll put the specific links
Brilliant.
on the description. Great.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you very much, Lomi. Have a
Yeah,
great day, man.
you too.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.